WRVS-FM HD1 Elizabeth City State University. From the gridiron to the radio. This is ECSU Football Insider, only on WRVS 89.9.
Yes, Viking family, welcome to ECSU Football Insider. I am Clay Mercer, and that guy right there is the head coach of ECSU Football, Coach Adrian Jones. Coach, thank you so much for making this show happen, and it's Homecoming 2025, a fun, festive time here in Elizabeth City.
Once again, thank you for having me, Clay, and happy homecoming to the Vikings.
Yes, indeed. We've got a special show for all of you here today. We got some special guests that'll be coming in here, so make sure you keep listening for that. But before we get there, we got to talk about this past Saturday's 28-27 victory over Bowie State. And, Coach, we talked about it leading into the game. ECSU had a great opportunity here, and you felt really good about the team going into that game.
We definitely had we were very upbeat this week. We really thought that we could once again be homecoming crashers, and our guys were prepared for the task at hand, and they did a great job of winning that game.
Yeah.
And coming back the way we came back, it just shows great resilience of our football team.
It was the third straight game on the road. So, being on the road, we talked about the camaraderie and how it brings the team together, that mentality of us against everybody. And I'm sure that helps out the team a whole lot. But it's also a chance for ECSU to do something they haven't done since the 2012 season, and that's defeat the Bulldogs. It's a 12-game losing streak that we had against this team. Did that add on to the motivation, not only for the players, but really for the coaches, too, to kind of nip that in the bud?
Well, actually, I didn't even know that stat until after the game.
Okay.
That's huge for our program. We each and every week we're steady getting better and breaking some records that haven't been done. So, to go to Bowie State for their homecoming and finally get a victory is awesome for this program.
It was definitely homecoming for them. An excited crowd filled up Bulldog Stadium. We talked about how fun it is to go in there and get these wins on the road, especially when it comes to spoiling a homecoming. And I was happy that the Vikings were able to do that here. Does the team look at being scheduled for homecoming as a little bit of disrespect?
Oh, we definitely do, and I don't think nobody's going to schedule us for homecoming anymore. That's why we got the nickname Homecoming Crashers. But we were prepared. Hats off to my staff and my players. They're starting, like we talked about yesterday, they're starting to take the identity of our football staff, our coaches. And so when you got kids that buy in, sky's the limit for our football program.
It's all about building that program and building that mentality, and I think we're on our way there. Both teams came into the game with a 2-6 record, but had a lot to play for. ECSU hoped to continue the momentum of their dominant win over Lincoln, and Bowie State wanted to use that homecoming energy to get their first win at home all season long. And, they have been on a losing end of several close games, similar to us early on. We lost some close games ourselves, and as you talked about before, taking away those two big plays. And honestly, as I told you, we had one big play, we would pick up some of those wins that we came up with a loss with. But that's okay, because the Vikings are growing, and that's what we see. And we saw it here in this one, the grit of this team. We're also much better than our record shows, and I think everybody is starting to see that now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're way better than what our record says. But we had to get to know our football players, and the coaches had to get to know the football players, and as well as the players getting to know us. And I just think that we're very upbeat. We know it's our homecoming, but we have to make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's and come out victorious for our homecoming.
Yeah. Going into this game against Bowie State, did the coaching staff make any changes to the practice sessions, something that they wouldn't normally do several weeks ago?
No, I mean, we had to make a little bit of adjustment because of the rain. We talked about, going inside and making sure we get those good mental reps last week. But not only that, they feed off our energy. Every day we make sure our guys have that energy all day long, and our coaches make sure that they lead and do those things for our players.
Let's jump into some of the highlights of this game. And after no score in the first quarter, Bowie State would strike first as their freshman quarterback, Savion Witherspoon, would get his first of 3 rushing touchdowns near the 10-minute mark of the second quarter. They marched 65 yards down there to take a 0-7 lead. Definitely not the start that the Vikings hope for, especially when we like to punch them in the mouth first if we can.
Definitely. I think that we made good adjustments on defense, but we talked about it. Penalties what got those guys into the red zone and scoring. If we eliminate the penalties, they don't score. But lesson learned, this is our first time winning a close game. So now we know what it feels like to win a close game. And I think you will, in the future, when close games are around us, we'll know how to be victorious.
Well, thankfully, it didn't take long for the Vikings to answer. Quarterback Navion Hilliard found Contreras Bracey to cap a 7-play, 75-yard drive that included a big 15-yard run by Chris Perkins on 3rd and 15 just to get us into Bulldog territory. Of course, Chris went down in this one, but it's always a possibility when you have a dual-threat quarterback similar to Perkins. But that's something you always have to worry about. Give us a little bit of an update on Perkins and also that specific drive of how the Vikings were able to move it.
Well, Perkins is day-to-day. You know, he's in protocol, concussion protocol. It's very upbeat. I think we'll have him on Saturday. But hats off to Nathan Hilliard, man. He got in the game, first play of the game after Perkins got hurt and threw a touchdown. You know, that shows that guy is a true born leader. Hats off to Coach Hester for trusting him and putting him in a situation to make plays. But that young man came in. He's always at practice doing the right things. He's been a great backup. He signals in the plays, and he's our general, you know. But he showed that he's going to probably be our starting quarterback next year.
Yeah, you talked about this all season long. Next man up mentality and being that man, that next man up and getting the job done.
When we talk about it, you always got guys thinking that they should be in the game, but when your opportunity is there, you make the best out of that opportunity. And I think that he did a great job of making the best. And I'm not gonna lie, he opened my eyes up. I mean, he really was a general. He sat in the pocket. He threw great balls, and you know, even down to when he threw the interception, there was no wavering in that young man, and that's what you want in a football, in a quarterback.
The 7-7 tie would be broken late in the half as Bowie State University's Witherspoon would use his legs to get that second rushing touchdown, 7-14 at the half. Your thoughts on that drive specifically, and your overall thoughts on how the first half went?
On that drive specifically, you know, some busts in the defense. You know, a new quarterback, he had a little bit more legs than the quarterback that normally starts. So the adjustments, we have to make adjustments and do a better job. But we did have a chance to drive the ball down the field and answer. Probably should have went for it on 3rd down. It was like 7 seconds left on the clock. We probably should have tried to take a shot in the end zone. Probably had about 2 or 3 seconds left, and if we didn't score, you know, kick a field goal. But I just felt like that, you know, we need to kick a field goal, but it was in the wind, and we missed it. But we went at halftime and made great adjustments.
Yeah. The third quarter was much like the second quarter when you talk about what Bowie State was able to do. They finished a 44-yard drive with another Witherspoon rushing touchdown to extend their lead. 7-21 would be the score. Later on in that quarter, the Vikings defense forced Witherspoon to fumble that ball and use a 4th down conversion pass from Hilliard to Troy Smith to drive down to the BSU 4-yard line. Coach Hester, I want to bring you in really quickly and talk a little bit about this decision-making. When it comes to the 4th down, there's something that you obviously saw that made you feel really good about going for it on 4th. Talk a little bit about this play specifically and what you saw.
Well, to be honest, man, my coaching staff, my offensive coaching staff, we all come together and talk about the game plan going into the game. What's good for us on 3rd downs, what's good for us on 4th downs. And but shout out to my receiver coach, Coach Eli Sessoms. A route concept that we saw early in the game that we just pretty much switched it, and the guys was able to make a good play. Navy stood in the pocket, threw a good ball to TJ right in the back pylon, and pretty much sealed the game right there.
Yeah, felt good, man. Unfortunately, 2nd and goal, the Bulldogs will score again on that pick 6 to make it 7-27. You talked about that earlier, Coach. They would miss the PAT, which would be huge later on. But at this moment, it felt like the momentum was all on their side of the field. What did the coaching staff, you all kind of talk about? What did you say to each other? What did you say to the players at this moment to keep them focused on the game?
It definitely flipped the mojo on us. But we have a saying, something good happen, keep playing. Something bad happen, keep playing. And our coaches just kept reiterating that on the sidelines, and our kids were amongst, you know, the coaches and saying, Coach, we believe we're going to win this football game. And so when you got a bunch of guys that still believe when stuff like that happens, it's going to be very hard to beat us, but we just got to continue to get better each and every week.
Very much so. Thankfully for ECSU, that will be the final drive for the Bulldogs. That will be a scoring drive, and that was largely due to the effort of the defense. And when you talk about what the Vikings were able to do, Manuel picked off that Witherspoon pass, giving the Vikings great field position at that point. A drive that started at the Bulldog 15 will finish with a touchdown by Traquan Johnson to trim the Bowie lead down to 13 heading into the 4th quarter. And again, at this point, still had to feel pretty good about where things were going, and it felt like that momentum was starting to kind of swing back our way.
And that was what we were looking for, to swing that momentum back to our side. And once we got that mojo back, I think that there definitely was a big confidence in us. And shout out to our fans. I mean, they were loud and cheering, and with the I'm not supposed to say this, but the bad officiating that we had, we fought through that. There's no need to complain about it. They're humans. They make mistakes, but I think our guys prepared very well to elude the negative calls and stuff, and just continue to play football.
Coach George, I want to bring you in. Obviously, the Vikings needed to get that ball back. You got to get the offense back out there. So that pressure, it either busts pipes or makes diamonds. You got to feel that. And I think the defense probably took it a little personal to say, let's get this job done the way we should have done. This needs to be our quarter. Let's get that ball back for our team.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we, as coaches, we challenge the young men to embrace the moment, embrace the challenge.
You could go and start again right there. You go.
Yes, we encourage on defense and as an overall staff for our young men to embrace the challenge, embrace the opportunity. It was a lot of pressure in that situation, but we had to make a play for our team. One of the things that we talk about is family on our squad, and how we've got the defense thinking is that we're like the big brother. And I'm sure offense probably feels the same way about defense, but we're like the big brother. And if someone steals our little brother's bike or is bullying our little brother, we have to go back out there and get the ball back. And that's been our mentality really all year. Yeah. We finally been able to kind of walk our walk and talk the talk as well. But in that moment, we recognized that, with our starting quarterback down, we needed to step up and be a spark that the team needed and give the offense an opportunity to get the ball back and put it in the end zone, because we knew we were moving the ball. It was just a couple plays that weren't going right before we were able to finally get on the board and get going. We knew once we got rolling, we were going to be hard to stop on offense and defense. So we were embracing that challenge of our numbers call, offense needs us, we need to go out there and we need to make a stop.
And the defense will go out there and get the job done. ECSU will shut the Bulldogs out in that final quarter, and we started to apply more pressure, I noticed, to Witherspoon and force him to kind of punt that ball away on their next drive. After a 27-yard punt return by Sterling Chavis, ECSU would use good field position to score very quickly, a 33-yard touchdown pass from Hilliard to freshman tight end Joe Griffin. It would tighten the game up 21-27 at that point. Coach Hester, coming right back to you, young team that is gaining experience. I mean, Griffin is a playmaker. There's no question about that, and he's getting more and more comfortable even now late in the season. Talk a little bit about his growth specifically and kind of what he brings to ECSU.
Oh, man, Joe Griffin. I was recruiting Joe Griffin when we was at the other school. I'm not going to call the names out right now because I'm a Viking pride. But we was recruiting him at the other school, and I think we didn't have any scholarship money, so it was pretty much bringing him on as a walk-on. So we ended up coming down here to East City, and he was still interested. And the good thing is he came, and you see the growth from him now. A true freshman. He actually played receiver at Jordan High School in Durham, North Carolina. So we moved him to tight end once he, found out like his stout, his ability. Or like, all right, we might need to move him to tight end to help us in that tight end position. So he's been doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to his growth pretty much after the season. Yeah.
Well, the Vikings needed to get into the end zone again, but it will be the defense that will make it happen. Another important part is field positioning, and that is kind of where special teams kind of makes their way into the equation. A 61-yard kickoff and 14-yard Bulldog return put them at their own 21-yard line. But, Coach, special teams, very important. We talked about field positioning and how important that is. And it seems like there's some strategy that goes into this. It's not just about kicking the ball. It's about where to place that ball and kind of making sure that you cover and tackle as you need to. And it seemed to come into play right here.
Yeah, we definitely were special on special teams. Hats off to Coach Glanton, a special team coordinator, making sure we're putting our guys in the right situations at the right time. We've been working very hard at special teams, I will admit. as a head coach, I didn't spend enough time on special teams in the past, but Coach G makes sure that we spend a lot of time on special teams, and you can definitely tell the growth in our special teams this year.
Yeah, no question. BSU would turn it over on downs. ECSU would do the same on their next drive. Bowie State would finish their final drive with a punt, and the Vikings would get that ball back with a little more than 2 minutes left. Not a lot of time, Coach, but I get the sense that the team is prepared for these moments where there's not a lot of time on the clock. But I think y'all work on this in practice.
Well, what was so special about that 2 minutes, it was, like you said, go back to the extra point that they missed. It's 27-21. I knew that we were going to score, and the biggest thing was putting the pressure on our kicker, Wyatt, who's a freshman. He hit all his extra points, and we did a good job of dialing up plays and finding out their weaknesses on defense. We called a timeout. Me, Coach Hess, Coach Sessoms, Perkins, all us was talking about that one play that we scored on, and just it's a family bond, man. We sat together and everybody talked about it, and we came to an agreement that we was going go to TJ on a one-on-one route, and our quarterback put it on the money.
Yeah, the moment would be beautiful. It would be just a wonderful thing. Hilliard would find Griffin for a first down. Then the next man up, Terrence Holland, takes a pass 19 yards into the end zone. Kicker Wyatt Jackson, as you just stated, put that PAT through the uprights to give the Vikings the 28-27 lead. First lead of the game for ECSU, and it was silence, that Bulldog crowd. It was silence that was beautiful to my ears.
Man, God is good, man. When he kicked that extra point in the uprights, I think I went to my knees, and I was just happy to see our guys celebrating, the fans celebrating and everything, but we had to come back and on special teams and do what we supposed to do. I heard Coach George and Coach Glanton on the sidelines trying to figure out what we're going to do on defense, and we didn't have to go back on defense.
Well, Coach, on the ensuing kickoff, ECSU's Bryson Seaborn would cause Bulldogs' Joseph Tyler to fumble the ball. It was recovered by Viking Shamar Sutton, and we ran the clock out to finish that game 28-27. Had to get a quick first down, but we were able to finish it off that way. It snapped the 11-game losing streak that the Vikings had. And again, I just wonder what type of impact this type of comeback win has on a program that's trending upward.
It's very big for our program. Like you said, it's been 11 years. We lost a lot of close football games, down to the wire, and we finally won one down to the wire. But it got a little choppy toward the end because we thought we had a first down, and they did move the chains, and then lo and behold, we take a knee, and it was third down, and I looked, and it wasn't a first down. So I'm asking the referee, I thought we had a first down. He was like, no, you didn't. So on fourth down, we had to go for it to get the first down. But each and every Friday, we do our scripted kneel down, and it came to the future, and the guys celebrated. Those guys on their sideline were a little pissed, and we talked as a head coach over there, and me as well decided it wasn't a good idea to shake hands. Homecoming, we didn't want anybody to get put out of the game. It's not saying that our guys were going to retaliate or their guys. It's just sometimes as coaches, you got to make a great decision for your program.
I've always been the type of person that thinks that handshakes should take place at the beginning of the game, and because it can get feisty out there, and at the end, you just want to be able to walk off, say what's up, and then call it a day. But regardless, the Vikings with a major comeback win, a 2-game winning streak. Vikings haven't been able to say that all season long, but that is where we are right now. This momentum going into Saturday, we got to find ways to keep it, and I know you and the coaching staff have talked about it, especially with the practices that are coming up leading into Saturday, how important that is. But Coach, I know you're the type of person that says, okay, 24 hours, celebrate, and let's get to the next one. This one, though, might linger just a little bit. It had to feel really good, again, to take somebody's cookies, go into Bulldog, and get that win at their homecoming.
It has lingered a little bit, but today we're going to really focus on Bluefield. They're not a bad football team. They're one of those teams that the record doesn't show how good they are. But, and it's our homecoming. We want to end the season on a winning note. We want to be 4-3 in the conference. It's easily said than done, but we could possibly be the number 4 or 5th team in the conference at the end of the year, and that's big for recruiting. We talked about that earlier, and we got guys coming here on December the 4th for a recruiting visit. So what better way to try to lure those bigs and those crafty receivers to come to Elizabeth City State after a win.
Yeah.
So we definitely looking forward to, the future.
Yeah, it's the right time to do it. The Vikings will take a 2-game win streak into the homecoming matchup against Bluefield State. We'll preview that game, and we'll place a spotlight on our special guest that we have with us here, too. It's ECSU Football Insider exclusively on WRVS 89.9 and online at WRVS899.com.
Get your tickets now for ECSU football online at ECSUVikings.com.
This is ECSU Spotlight. The Department of Business, Accounting, and Sport Management at Elizabeth City State University prepares students for careers in a variety of business fields. From business development and management to accounting, ECSU's programs offer the technical skills necessary for success in a high-demand industry. Learn more online at ecsu.edu. Elizabeth City State University. Come to discover, leave to conquer.
Let's get back to ECSU Football Insider online at WRVS899.com.
Yes, back here, ECSU Football Insider, Clay Mercer with head coach Adrian Jones. We got some special guests that we'll get to in just a few moments, but we're going to talk a little bit more about what's happening here in Viking land. And after dropping a 3-set sweep to league-leading Virginia State on Monday, the ECSU volleyball team are in action right now inside Williams Hall as they're taking on Bluefield State. They'll have their final match of the regular season against Virginia Union on Monday at 6. It'll be senior night here, so we encourage all of you to come out and support the volleyball team. The ECSU women's basketball will have their final exhibition game against Old Dominion on Friday, and that'll be right before their season opener on November 15th. And the men's basketball team will have an exhibition game at East Carolina on November 13th, and they'll open up the season at Lincoln Memorial on the 19th. Now, Coach, back to the football, and again, the Vikings homecoming. It's a special time. How difficult is it to keep these guys from just jumping into all of the events that are happening and just to keep them focused for what's to come?
Well, we talk about it. We've been to 2 different homecomings this year, and we don't want to be on that side that they were. So we just got to make sure we focus. It's another game for us. We always talk about it. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll kind of let them hang out and do a little bit of the homecoming festivities, but they got to focus and practice. And then Wednesday's that cutoff date. Mm-hmm. They got to buy in. They got to be disciplined and not get with the distractions, because if we win on Saturday, they can party Saturday, Sunday, and all the following next week. So this really means a lot. You got a lot of alum coming back, and they see the progress, and we don't want to stop the progress. Yeah. We want to continue to win, and like I said, get that mojo going into 2026. So nothing better to make sure that our fans see the product, in person on Saturday.
We'll deep dive into the game coming up in a few moments. But, Coach, we got a trio of special guests that are here with us. If you could take a little bit of time and introduce all 3 of them to us.
I have my offensive coordinator, Toryeon Hester. I have Andre George, my defensive coordinator, and I got Eli Sessoms, who's my wide receiver coach.
Yes, guys, thank you so much for being a part of today's show, and I'm sure this won't be your last time being a part of here in the radio station. I got some work for you all to do just when we get finished here, but sure. Coach George, I want to bring it to you really quickly. You've had many titles throughout your career, and tell us a little bit about your experience and your connection with Coach Jones.
So my overall experience and connection to Coach Jones, I actually was a student athlete of his back at North Carolina Central University. He actually coached me at defensive back position. Mm-hmm. And upon approaching the end of my career, he asked me what I was going to do next. And I said I didn't know. And he had just gotten the head coaching job at Southern Durham High School. And he said, well, until you figure it out, I want you to come and, help me out with my boys. And after that first day, I went home to talk to the woman who eventually became my wife and said, I think I want to get into coaching. Wow. And she knew how much it meant to me. And so she gave me the blessing and encouragement to get back into it. And then soon thereafter, I realized just how serious I wanted to go. I went back to get my master's in 2000, began my master's in 2010. And I've pretty much been at the college level ever since then. Mm-hmm. And that gave me as a graduate assistant, that gave me the exposure and the tutelage I needed to do and administer all facets of the game. Yeah. When you're a graduate assistant, you're one of the first people in the office, one of the last people to leave. Mm-hmm. And you don't just help out on one side of the ball. You help out on special teams and off the field. And so you get to see really how the sausage is made as a graduate assistant. And those little nuggets, I try to be a sponge. Those help me moving forward in my career. So when I've been asked to go to offense or be on special teams, former special teams coordinator at our previous school, and now as defense coordinator here, it's allowed me to transition so smoothly because of that early exposure in my career.
Yeah, and it's not just about helping these players excel on the field. Mm-hmm. It's also about those relationships with them off the field and helping them become
Absolutely.
Young men. And I see you growing into that. Is that a major part of why you really went into coaching, is to help them in all aspects?
What's funny is not at first. At first, I was only doing it because I was still addicted to football and I didn't know what to do. But as God would have it, I realized that that wasn't my purpose. My purpose was to help build the next chapter of men and the next generation of men through sport. Yeah. So now, although we still want some hardware, we always talk as coaches how great it feels for those young men who are now grown men to come back, full beards and wives and babies, and say, man, coach, it's good to see you. Coach, you was right. And just knowing that we had such an impact on their lives now, you know, again, we still want hardware, but those help just as much as the wins as well.
When you talk about the defense, as you look at the stats, ranked third in the conference in forced fumbles, and that was interesting to me. Is that something that you work on with the players? Is there some type of technique that allows them to get these players to cough up that ball? And, of course, recovery is important, but you got to force the fumble first.
Well, yeah, these are things that we preach and we practice consistently. It's not something we just happen to just go out there and do on Saturdays. It's what we rep. So we do tackling circuits, turnover circuits, those sort of things, so that, you know, we don't rise to the occasion, we sink to our training. Mm-hmm. And so it has become second nature for us to go after the football. One of our keys to victory each week is the turnover margin. We look for at least 3 takeaways each week. This week we actually met that quarter or more, and I want to say last week we met it as well. And I want to say as well against Livingstone. Don't quote me on that. But we have keys to victory we talk about every week that's going to help us on defense. And those are one of them, the 3 takeaways, along with stopping the run and staying together as a family, you know, and playing together. And lastly, of course, something good happens, keep playing. Something bad happens, keep playing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's one of those words that I hear a lot when we talk about this football team is family. And it's wonderful to see, again, the connection that you all have with the players. And it seems like they're taking that mentality that you all have brought to the table. So, again, great job for what you all have done. Coach Sessoms, I want to bring you in a little bit and talk about your duties. If you could, give us an idea of what you go through day in and day out with this football team.
Well, yes, I'm the wide receiver coach here. Being the youngest coach, you know, is kind of tasked with a lot, you know, but at the end of the day, one thing I'll say is that it's nothing that the gentlemen here in this room haven't done themselves. Mm-hmm. And like Coach George just touched on, you know, it gives you the ability to learn various things. It gives you the ability to have multiple opportunities, you know, to add tools to your toolbox as a coach, which ultimately aids in your overall growth and development.
Talk about some of the special players. We talk about it all the time. This receiving core, they make plays. I mean, you get them the ball, it's almost like they have glue on their hands. They can make things happen. Talk a little bit about what you have as far as the arsenal out there on that field.
Well, one thing, you know, I really take pride in being a former receiver myself is just developing everybody to be the guy. You know, and I say that with, like, if God forbid, but, you know, we happen to lose a receiver to another university, he can walk in that room and be the man there. Wow. So when you're developing guys with that mindset, with that ability, you know, like, for example, against Joshua C. Smith, it was Catrez Bracey. Following week, it was Shamar Sutton. This week is, you know, Terrence Holland. You know, all of these guys just have the ability to step up, and they make the most of their opportunities when their names are called.
So many different personalities to deal with. How do you do that every day? Because you can coach one player one way, but it may not work with the other, it may not resonate the same way. How do you deal with that all the time?
Well, the biggest thing is, like, I'm a young guy myself, you know, so I'm always around them, like, outside of football. I'm a big video game guy, so I play the game with them. But that just gave me the ability to learn my guys. Mm-hmm. I got here in the spring, you know, with Coach Jones. And then being a former high school coach, high school teacher, you know, you're in the classroom with multiple personalities. But the biggest thing with me was giving those guys leeway and opportunity to be themselves, so I could really know them and get get to understand who they are, and then being transparent with them along with myself, bringing my family around, letting them meet my kids, letting them see me as the father, letting them see me, as the husband, letting them see me as the coach, and then that way they could better understand that, yes, I'm hard on you, but then I'm going to tell you I love you too, so just opportunities like that, things like that.
Coach Hester, I'm going to come to you and the strong relationship with Coach Jones. It seems like he has a great relationship with all of the coaches on this squad. He seems to trust everybody on the staff. Mm-hmm. Speak on that trust for a moment and what you've taken away from Coach Jones over the years that helped you in your career.
We all connected. I played with Coach George at North Carolina Central. We had some battles. He played DB. I played receiver. Coach Jones was the DB coach. Wow. So, the whole receiver DB competition was very heavy during our time at North Carolina Central. Coach Jones brought me on. It was funny because I was listening to Coach George about his story, and it's kind of similar. I finished playing ball at North Carolina Central, trying to figure out, what my next plan was. Went into teaching and mental health, and his little brother is my best friend. And
wow.
I played ball with him since Pop Warner, middle school, high school, all the way to college. So that's like my brother too.
Yeah.
And so I looked at Coach Jones like the big brother. And so again, after my season at North Carolina Central, just trying to find a way, and he asked me, have you ever thought about coaching? Mm-hmm. And I said, no, I never thought about it. And he said, I'm looking for a receiver coach. And of course, played receiver at North Carolina Central. And I thought about it. And I went to the playoff game, and then that was pretty much when I made my decision. You know what? I think I'm going to give it a try. Mm-hmm. And it's been smooth sailing ever since. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say smooth sailing, but it's been good sailing. Because it's growth and development, as a young coach, coming up, learning things. And so we had our stint at Southern Durham where we was able to win a state championship. Took some guys went to the next level. Pretty much he saw my work ethic. Yeah. And I remember him saying this to me, and his little brother was like, I'm not going to be here forever. I want to coach in college, and when I do get this call, you're going to be my coach. You're going to be my receiver coach. Mm-hmm. And maybe 2 years, he went to North Carolina Central, won 2 MEAC championships, ended up getting a job, and I feel like I was like the first person he called. He said, hey, Coach Hess, I got it. I want you to be my receiver coach. I want you to be my recruiting coordinator. Receiver coach, I know everything about it. Recruiting coordinator, I have no idea. So, I went and did some research because I wanted to, he's taking a chance on me, and I want to make sure I take advantage of this opportunity. So I'm going to Google everything. I'm going to find out what I got to do to be the greatest recruiting coordinator, and it's pretty much where I'm at now. So it's been a great journey. It's been a great journey. I'm coming into my 5th year as offensive coordinator. I feel like under his leadership, I've gotten better as a player. I'm sorry, not as a player, but as a coach, as a play caller, as a man, just everything, just a good grooming session under Coach Jones.
Yeah, and that's major. And in addition to Coach Jones and what you've learned under him, I'm sure you've had some other mentors that have helped you throughout your career. Show them a little bit of love. Tell us who some of those people are.
I have to. Coach Bill Hayes was my college coach. He recruited me first to North Carolina A&T. I feel like we were his last recruiting class before he got let go. Mm-hmm. Then I transferred to North Carolina Central, where I played under Coach Rob Broadway. Mm-hmm. I feel like Coach Rob Broadway is the GOAT. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure a lot of coaches agree with him being able to win multiple championships at different levels and different institutions. So, and I talk to him to this day.
Wow.
And again, coaching on Coach Jones, coaching with Coach Dre George. He was my running back coach last year, and now he's the defensive coordinator. So, it's like we got a big family. And Coach Eli Sessoms, he's been pretty much kind of like a little brother. When he was at Southern, he would come to some of the practices and watch me coach the receivers, and I always kept my eye on him. I know he kept his eye on us as well. And you see he's in his 2nd year as my receiver coach. Is like when it comes to pass game, I don't know it all. So I go to my receiver coach, I go to my run game coordinator, Coach Manigo, and my running back coach, Coach Sanders. It's as a collective pro, I feel like our offense has progressed over the past couple of weeks, and I see our future as being very bright.
Definitely very bright. Coach George, Coach Hester, Coach Sessoms, thank you all so much for being a part of today's show. I'm sure you'll be back on this show many a time after this, but it's just great. And Coach Jones, I come back to you, and we talk about that word family. It keeps coming up, but that's got to make you feel good. You look to your left, you look to your right, feels like family.
Oh, it definitely is family, but I would be a liar if I didn't say that I didn't trust these guys at first. We're gonna be real. You know, at the end of the day, you have to groom guys, and I can remember back when Coach Hester first started being the offensive coordinator. I had the handcuffs on him. He didn't understand why, but it's just a process. And now I'm probably I'm a true head coach now, and I don't have to worry about the offensive side of the ball. I don't have to worry about the defensive side of the ball. I don't have to worry about special teams. But I can come in and give an idea, you know, throw a trick play in, a little wrinkle here and there, and just be a head coach. Yeah. But man, these guys have worked so hard, and you see the fruits of our labor. Yeah, you know, definitely. We worked hard to get where we at. We want to be in the championship game this year. It ain't gonna happen, but we're preparing.
Yeah, definitely. And again, thank you all for the work that you all do with the student athletes day in and day out. It just helps them grow on the field and off the field. So thank you again so much for that. All of that hard work that you all have put in has led ECSU to a chance to finish the season over 500 in the CIAA. This Saturday, it's the homecoming game, and the Buck Bluefield State limps to a 3-game losing streak after dropping one to Virginia Union. 14-70 was the final score this past Saturday. The Big Blue bringing that 3-6 record to Roebuck Stadium. But Coach, as you stated before, 3-6, 2-7, doesn't matter what the record is. They're still a formidable team, and the Vikings have to go out there and get the job done. Speak a little bit more about what we can expect from Bluefield State on Saturday.
They're going to come in fighting. The head coach used to be on this staff here years ago, and he wouldn't want nothing more than come here and get a dub. You know, he's a young coach, up and coming coach. He just started. You know, that program has not started long ago, and you know, they won some good games. You know, I think they won their first CIAA game early in the year against Shaw University. So they're going to be prepared. They just got beat pretty good against Virginia Union. They want to lick their wound and come back and try to beat us. But we talked about it week in and week out. As I say, that number one number is 28. We put up 28 points, we're going to win every football game. Yeah. And every game that we have won this year, it was 28 points or better. So we know that we got to put up 28 points or better this week, but we just got to be good on all three phases of the game and end this year with a bang. Yeah, the homecoming football game begins at 1 over at Roebuck Stadium. And, of course, live radio coverage of the game will begin with the pregame show at 12:30. And you can listen online worldwide at WRVS899.com. You can also get your tickets. We want you all inside Roebuck Stadium supporting the Vikings. You can get those tickets online at ECSUVikings.com. We're talking about tailgating, some good food. I'm ready to gain some pounds. It's going to be a lot of fun. And the Vikings bringing that win home. That's what it's all about. Coach, I want to give the microphone to you. Speak to the Viking faithful. Get them ready for what's to come this Saturday. Alumni Vikings, hey, come to the Buck this weekend. We're going to give you a show. We look forward to seeing all the families. I look forward to the chicken, the ribs, and all that good food. And let's just have a good time. And like I said, the biggest thing we always talk about is family. And we're going to end with family. Plus championships is what we're looking for. So we definitely look forward to you guys coming out and Viking pride, Viking pride, Viking pride.
Yes, indeed. Family, if you missed out on any parts of today's show, you want to catch up on past episodes, just go to the WRVS 899 YouTube channel, as well as the WRVS Podcast Network, and listen anytime. Coach, thank you so much for making this happen. Next week, final show, but we're going to come in here talking about a win. Looking forward to this Saturday. Good luck, and I'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you. Look forward to it.
ECSU Football Insider is produced at WRVS Studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University, powered by the ECSU Department of Radio and Television Services. Learn more online at WRVS899.com.